hello. This is Alexandra Levine live with the America's Pulse Network. You are all in tonight with me, Alexandra Levine. Breaking news. Today was Elon Musk's last day working at Doge. As you know, he was not a federal government employee. He decided to take a break from owning Tesla to work with the Trump administration. I just want to set the record straight. Elon Musk, he endorsed President Trump after he saw him almost get killed at Butler in July. That really changed his mind. That really said to himself, oh my God, this guy is a fighter. He gets up, he says, fight, fight, fight in front of the American people. And it was amazing to him to see what a great leader President Trump was on that day. And then actually Elon Musk met him in Butler for the second rally, and he spoke in front of the American people. And Elon Musk has been a breath of fresh air for we the people. He has really gone in there and eliminated the waste, fraud, and abuse. And again, he's not a government employee. He wasn't contracted to be there for years and years. And Elon Musk thanks President Trump for giving him this position, but he also loves President Trump. A lot of people say, oh, there's controversy, he doesn't like the president. No, that's fake news. Again, the mainstream media is going to report that because they love the controversy. No, Elon Musk appreciates what President Trump is doing. Elon Musk appreciates that the President Trump bestilled in him this duty, this role. And one of the biggest things that Congress really needs to continue is getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. That was the whole point of the big, beautiful bill, was to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse. That's what President Trump talked about. And there's some discrepancies about the bill. In Elon Musk's opinion, they should have cut more spending. They should have cut more waste, fraud, and abuse. And now the bill goes into the United States Senate. Now the senators are going to figure out what they're going to cut, what they're going to keep, what they're going to expand. There's a lot of senators, like my Senator Rick Scott of Florida, that feels that more spending needs to be cut, because the whole point is to lower the national debt. The whole point is to lower the inflation, to help we the people, to get we the people back to work, to help our economy. And this bill is going to be passed into law for years. And then President Trump's going to sign it. So we want to make sure that this bill is as perfect as it can be. Now, I can tell you, because I've worked in legislation, I've written bills, no bill is perfect. There's always going to be something in there that somebody doesn't like and so forth. But if you get a majority of a consensus on a bill, it works out fine. But we can't have what they call grifters. We can't have what they call grandstanders that just vote no to vote no. We have to, again, come to a consensus on this. And of course, there's congressmen and senators that work in very liberal states, very liberal counties. So they're trying to adjust to every single one of their constituents. But I can tell you, one of the reasons why President Trump reenacted Doge was to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse. And we saw what Doge discovered, that people that are dead are collecting Social Security checks. Someone who's 300 years old, 250 years old. I mean, that's just insane. Nobody lives that long. Nobody's ever lived that long. I mean, not even during Moses's times or Abraham's times. I mean, the average American, I think, only lives to like 55 to 60 now. I know people that live up to 100, but I think the most is maybe like 105, maybe 115 at the oldest. God willing, Baruch Hashem, we say. But I'm so glad at the work that Elon Musk has done, and we need to continue his work. Congress needs to continue his great work and cut the waste, fraud, and abuse that President Trump campaigned on. We thank Elon Musk for his service. We thank him for everything that he's done. I mean, the guy literally has put his life on the line. He's put his job on the line. And he's gone through a lot of hell with this job. I mean, there's been stupid protests against Elon Musk. You have stupid idiots like AOC and Bernie Sanders fighting oligarchy rallies all over this country, wasting our taxpayer dollars on this crap. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing it. In Maryland, in Montgomery County, they use an old retirement facility to push the elderly to fight against Elon Musk and President Trump. Again, Elon Musk believes the same things that President Trump believes in, that we need to codify his executive orders, and any elected official that combats the executive orders, specifically DEI and immigration, should be thrown out, should be in jail. They should be removed from office and they should go to jail. They should go to Alcatraz. Any activist judge that doesn't act like a judge, that wants to be political and not follow the law, that wants to break the law, their law licenses should be revoked. They should not be judges anymore, and they should be going to jail. Maybe that's why President Trump wants to reopen Alcatraz. But this whole narrative with the media that Elon Musk is, mad at President Trump, that they're wits end, that he can't stand him, that there's a bad relationship, that's fake news. I've seen Elon Musk at Mar-a-Lago with President Trump, Bedminster. He traveled to the Middle East with President Trump. Yeah, that's a guy that really hates President Trump. Yeah, President Trump, he hates that guy so much he puts him on Air Force One with him. I mean, come on. Come on, guys. That's why we are not fake news. We are not the mainstream media. We are the conservative media at the White House that will report fairly and honestly. Don't judge a book by its cover. Actually go and see Elon Musk and President Trump in person. I want to thank Elon Musk for going to Israel after the atrocities, after October 7th. I want to thank Elon Musk for his support for Israel and for the Jewish people. He's not anti-Semitic like some fake news media outlets have said. Some media outlets said he did the Nazi salute at some rallies. That was fake news as well. They said that about Steve Bannon as well. I mean, this is just craziness. Elon Musk knows the Jexit organization that I'm a part of. He knows Siggy Flicker, who's the Jexit spokesperson, who's now on the United Holocaust Museum Council. This guy is a good man. This guy created a phenomenal business. He's almost a trillionaire. He's one of the wealthiest guys in the nation. President Trump was smart to have him on board. I thank Elon Musk for supporting President Trump and endorsing him. Remember, Elon Musk is a Democrat. He hashtag left the party. He left the party because the Democrat Party didn't resonate with him. And he sees it now. Elon Musk is actually one of the reasons why Joe Rogan endorsed President Trump. Elon Musk went on Joe Rogan's show many times and basically hyped up President Trump to Joe Rogan. I do believe that Joe Rogan's endorsement is one of the reasons why a lot of independents and Democrats voted for President Trump in the general. So again, we thank you, Elon Musk. We thank you for your service for this nation. We thank you your continued service, because I know you're not going away anytime soon. And I want to encourage people, if they can afford it, to buy Teslas, to maybe go visit Elon Musk's factory in California. And well, actually, he moved his factory from California to Texas, but I know he still has some business in California, and he does still have some business in Utah. I know that for a fact, but his main factory is in Texas now. I encourage everybody to go to his factories in Texas and go see how Tesla is being made. But again, thank you, Elon Musk, and thank you for your service. Now we go into the first segment tonight. So the segment starts off, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? It's a very famous song, but it resonates today. There has been a lot of illegals, criminals all over this country. Remember, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they invited 21 million illegals into this country, including illegal terrorists. But what we're finding now is that we have an ICE department, we have a DHS department, a Border Patrol that is doing their job. And they're happy that they're doing their job. My good friend Borders Czar Thomas Holman, he loves his job. Christy Noem, the DHS secretary, she loves her job. They call her Ice Barbie because she's very pretty and she wears a lot of makeup and she wears hair extensions and she looks great on that horse. But she's getting in there and she's getting rid of these illegal criminals and getting them the hell out of our country. They're arresting them every day, day and night. And I want to thank President Trump for retweeting and reposting what I've done, what my friend TimFazenbaker has done. We've literally called the hotline. We have been calling out these illegals all over Maryland, particularly, and in a lot of states, a lot of liberal states like Illinois, for example, Michigan, Wisconsin. There's a lot of illegals in the state of Florida where I'm a permanent resident. And my governor, Ron DeSantis, has been cooperating with ICE and Border Patrol. So I want to put up this, our first slide. It was a tweet, actually. It was reposted. Nope, that's not the first one. The first one is the White House, one ICE tip. There it is. President Donald Trump, he reposted the White House, one ICE tip, 5 aliens down. Got a tip? Call ICE now, 866-DHS2-ICE. That's 866-347-2423. That was ICE agents getting these illegal immigrants that are at a Home Depot in Dundalk. Now, TimFazenbaker lives near Dundalk. That is his Home Depot. TimFazenbaker is the reason why these illegals were removed out of the Home Depot in Dundalk, Maryland. And it's funny because Tim called me today. He visited that Home Depot and he said, there's no illegals here now. Thank you, Thomas Holman. Thank you, DHS. Thank you for doing your job. And all it takes is just a phone call. 1-800-866-DHS2-ICE. And it's a message too. You can message ICE. You can message DHS. The beauty of this administration is that they are completely transparent. Sometimes Thomas Holman or Kristi Noem or any of these secretaries in the cabinet, they'll give you their personal cell phone number. Somebody told me that they have Doug Collins, who's the Secretary of Department of Veterans Affairs. They have his personal cell phone number. When Governor DeSantis was running for governor, he gave me his personal cell phone number. So that's the transparency of the party, of the Republican Party, but that's the transparency of this administration. But if it wasn't for Tim, those illegals would still be at that Home Depot today. Now, I can tell you, I have a residency in Montgomery County. There is tons of illegals that are in Montgomery County. And I have called Thomas Holman, and I have reached out to Kristi Noem and have asked them for their removal, and they will be removed. There's a lot of illegals that work at these gas stations. They don't speak English. They need to be removed. Anybody who lives off the system, anybody who's an illegal criminal needs to be removed. And President Trump said, we're going to get people who speak English to drive trucks. There's too many people. There's too many illegals that don't speak English. And then there's illegals that want to work in our farms. I saw that in Florida with the Department of Agriculture. They hire illegals because it's considered, quote, cheap labor. Yet I have farmer friends that live in Texas. They own peanut farms, cotton gin farms. I said to him, are you going to hire an illegal to work for you? He goes, my friends go, heck no. I'm going to do it myself. I got 2 arms and 2 legs. I'm going to do it myself. And you know what? I'm going to do it better because I know what I'm doing. Sometimes when you hire these illegals, they don't know what the hell they're doing. And they steal from you. They steal from you blind. And obviously you can't give them a check. You have to give them cash under the table. They don't have a social security number. It's craziness. The fact that the Chinese were stealing American farmland, now that's coming to an end. So all these illegals, they need to understand that you commit crimes, you're out of here. And if you don't think the DHS and ICE have a database of who you are and the crimes that you've committed, you're dead wrong. So when we see stupid elected officials that are supporting illegal criminals, illegal MS-13 gang members saying they did nothing wrong, they need due process, it's crazy. The fact that the Supreme Court is allowing these illegals to stay here in the country when they've committed so many crimes. They went against President Trump's executive order on this. Shameful. A vote 7-2. Shameful. Very shameful. And then we talk about, what's happening in Maryland specifically. Now, because of TimFazenbaker, myself, and others, ICE and Border Patrol has been going into certain cities in Maryland, such as Hagerstown, like we said, Baltimore County, Montgomery County, and so forth, and pulling these illegals out. And then we have the second side, leading report breaking. We'll put that up. Trump officials, there we go. Trump officials seek to arrest 3,000 illegal aliens per day, per Axios. That's great. Because again, we have 21 million illegals that came in here. The fact that President Trump wants to arrest 3,000 illegal aliens is beautiful. I know Thomas Holman wants to do more. And then we have another, quote, Maryland man. This is by my friend Andy Nago. We'll put up this slide about another Maryland man. There we go. A Maryland man who is an MS-13 gang member, has pleaded guilty over the killing and dismemberment of a 15-year-old Frederick high school student in Baltimore. Unbelievable. His name is Ismael Ivan Rivera Canales, an illegal migrant, pleaded guilty in federal court in Baltimore on May 22nd. That's what these illegals have been doing. They've been killing innocent young people, innocent young women, such as Rachel Morin, Jocelyn, Kate Steinle, Lincoln Riley. They've been killing guys too. The fact that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were allowed to have 21 million illegals come into this country who murdered American citizens is disgusting and asinine. And again, the fentanyl was pouring into our country in drones. The drug cartels were working overtime. The sex trafficking, human trafficking, child trafficking was so huge under Biden and Kamala Harris. And it started with Obama. We even had rhino Republicans say, when we welcome illegals in, we welcome in with open arms. It's as an act of love. That's what Jeb Bush said. He said that when he was running for president against President Trump in 2015 at the debates. We welcome him in as an act of love. Now, again, don't misunderstand. We have no problems with illegals coming in here, but they have to come in the right way. They have to come in through the right ports of entry. They must obtain citizenship. They must assimilate. My family survived the Holocaust. They came into Ellis Island through a sponsor. They were heavily, heavily vetted. We don't have that process. When stupid Congresswoman Gonzalez from Texas says, welcome to El Paso, it's the new Ellis Island. BS. No, she's welcoming illegals. Doesn't care if they come in the correct way. Thank God President Trump built such a strong border wall between Mexico and El Paso. My father has a residency in El Paso, Texas. It's a very strong wall. And now with this big, beautiful bill, President Trump will be able to finish building the wall, which we know that walls, they block a lot of illegals coming in. They have huge walls in Israel, in the Green Line between Ramallah and Israel. It's been there for years. Ever since they built that wall, we haven't had any Katyusha rockets flying from Ramallah to Israel. I've driven that line. I know it very well. So all these elected officials like Glenn Ivey and Chris Van Hollen from Maryland, you keep supporting this illegal MS-13 gang member. Why don't you go over there? Why don't you just go live there? Take care of your own. America first. And if you keep going against President Trump's executive orders such as DEI and illegal immigration, you're going to be sued. You're going to be charged. I can tell you that the state of Maryland is already on the list. I've contacted Pam Bondi many times to sue the state of Maryland, to charge Westmore, to charge Anthony Brown, to charge Brandon Scott, the mayor of Baltimore City. They're allowing their state to go to hell because they don't care. And of course, their state doesn't require photo ID to vote. So they rely on these illegals and dead people to help them get into office and remain in office. It's sick. It's really sick. And thinking of a sick state, at Real Mac Report, let's put up this slide, breaking. California Democrats have passed a bill allowing non-citizens who are in the country illegally to participate in counting ballots in elections. How is that legal? What the hell? That's why we have election judges to do this. And you know what they say? It's not how many votes, it's who counts the votes. So you're having non-citizens count votes? How is that election going to be secure? How do we have free and fair election? Remember, it's corrupt internal election personnel. Remember that. My friend William Newton says it, and he proved it. Corrupt internal election personnel. That's what it is. That's what this is. When you have non-citizens counting your ballots, that is a pure example of what William Newton has said of corrupt internal election personnel. It's disgusting. Disgusting that the state of California would allow this, but it's California. Maryland's becoming the new California. That's why the state of California needs to be sued. Governor Newsom is a disgusting governor, socialist, who doesn't give a crap. He was one of the last states to reopen during COVID. He told his people to wear a mask when he wasn't wearing a mask at a restaurant. He's a piece of crap. But that's what's happening. You have freaking socialist Democrats in these liberal states that push this BS, that push this crap. And that's why you don't have free and fair elections. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's why we can't have Gavin Newsom ever be the president of the United States. That's why we need to implement term limits for Congress. It's so important. I don't think it'll ever happen, but it needs to happen. I thank everybody for giving tips to Marco Rubio, Pam Bondi, DHS ICE about these illegals, about these illegal terrorists. There's illegal terrorists all over this country, particularly in Texas, Maryland. Northern states, these states that have these huge pro-Hamas rallies, I can't stand it. In DC, all over the place. Get them out of our country. Get them out of here. They're all from Iran. Their parents were former Hamas militants, former Iran militants, former Lebanese, Syrian militants. The Mossad, which is the Israeli CIA and FBI, they warned the Biden administration that there's illegal terrorists in this country. They even saw them at the border. They saw illegal Syrian refugees at the border. And they were just coming in buses, in vans, and drones. So it's so disgusting when I see elected officials support them, have signs for them, go over to El Salvador on our taxpayer dollars to try to get them back to this country illegally. They don't care that they've killed people. They don't care that they've trafficked people. That's disgusting. All of these elected officials should not be reelected. They should all be going to jail. These activist judges that support these illegal immigrants should all be going to jail. They continuously break the law. These lawmakers who support these illegal immigrants continue to break the law, and they don't care. They don't care because they're like, well, I live in a very Democrat district, Democrat state. My job is secure. Let's not make their job secure anymore. Let's stand up and rise up against it. Let's say I've hashtag had enough. I'm fed up with it. Again, there was a story in Baltimore City. A rabbi was attacked at his apartment complex by two vigilantes. I'm not sure if they were legal or not, but there's such high crime in Baltimore City and Baltimore and Maryland. Thank God that rabbi was armed, or he would have been dead. Everybody should be armed, in my opinion. Everybody. You have to be able to protect yourself. These illegals will come with guns and knives and kill you. If you don't have a firearm or some type of protection, you will die. Look what happened in Colorado. These illegals were knocking on people's apartments, pretending like they were the managers of the apartment complexes. In Ohio, these illegal Haitians were eating animals in front of everybody in broad daylight and sometimes in the evening. Nobody believed it. Everybody thought that J.D. Vance and Trump were crazy when they said that at a debate. It was true. It was all proven true. Everything that President Trump has said has been proven true. So my question to my viewers is, have you had enough of the illegals, of the crime? You can make a difference. We have a voice now. You don't have to worry. Republicans now, conservatives, we do not have to worry that crap isn't going to get done. And you don't have to worry that you're going to be arrested if you call somebody out for being an illegal criminal. So again, I advise everybody to call ICE, 866-DHS-2-ICE, 866-DHS, the number 2 and ICE. It's very, very important that you report these illegals. Again, I thank TimFazenbaker for doing this, because if it wasn't for him, those illegals would still be in Dundalk at that Home Depot harassing women. I can tell you I've been harassed by those illegals at the Home Depots in Montgomery County. And they don't just harass, they sexually harass, and they follow women to their cars. There was a story about a woman who was sexually harassed by these illegals at Home Depot, and they followed her to her car, and her trunk was open. They could have pushed her in her trunk, closed her in the trunk. They could have taken the car. They could have carjacked the car and drove with her, and God knows what they would have done to her. They probably would have raped her and killed her. But these are real stories that happen, guys. Real stories that happen. But we have good news. I'm always going to bring you guys good news. Our last slide of the night. How border crossings are doing. Border crossings down 93%. Thank you, Thomas Holman and Christine Elm. Gas prices hit a 4-year low. Thank you, President Trump. Eggs down $1.8 per dozen. Remember, everybody was bitching about the eggs. Inflation down to 1.8%. And then, of course, you have the mainstream media, which will never report this. But like I said before, we are not the mainstream media. We are conservative media. We will continue to report the facts in the news. Border crossings down 93%. That's amazing. I think it's the most it's been down in like 20-something years. Eggs are going down. Gas prices are going down. We're going to be energy independent again. Why can't the mainstream media report on this? Why can't the mainstream media report on the good things that President Trump has done for this country so far? He is kicking butt. I can tell you, he's not messing around this time. He is pissed. He is pissed that he left this economy in 2021 in great shape. And then they stole the election and put this moron, this Manchurian candidate in there who didn't do anything. We know this. He was controlled. Somebody else was controlling that White House. President Trump said it could have been other presidents. We'll get into that later in the show. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they tried to destroy our country by President Trump coming back. He is making our country better than ever before, and we want to keep it this way. I know there's a talk of him doing a third term. Of course, we'd have to change the whole Constitution to do that. That's Steve Bannon's idea. We want to keep Trump in forever. We want to keep his legacy alive. There's talks about his sons running for office. We have to keep this momentum going. We cannot stop. We do not want to go back to socialist ideology. We need to continue being a capitalist nation, a growing nation. Remember, it's about making America great again and keeping America great. And speaking of somebody that wants to do that, coming up after the break, we have candidate for Frederick County Council District 5, Chase Borns. He will be with us right after the break.
That you're no longer able to watch? Need them transferred to DVD, Blu-ray, or your smart device? Baltimore Digital offers professional-grade VHS, mini DV, and high 8 digitizing services. We can also convert Super 8mm film too. Baltimore Digital also provides photo restoration services. Visit archive.baltimoredigital.net. Mention code Alexandra for a 10% introductory.
And hello, everyone. Hello, we're back. I'm Alexandra Levine live. You are all in with Alexandra Levine on the America's Pulse Network. As I was talking about before about making America great again and keeping America great. Well, we have a candidate. He's running for Frederick County Council District 5. He calls himself the MAGA guy. His name is Chase Borns. Here's his image up on the screen. There he is with his Make America Great Again hat and the American flag behind him. Let's bring him on now. There he is. Hey,
hello, how are
Chase,
you doing?
How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, great. Thanks for being on. I really appreciate it. So, Chase, you're a young guy. Is this your first time ever running for office?
Yes, it is.
That's awesome. How old are you?
I'm 25 years old.
Oh my gosh. So everybody, please look at our young generation. It's wonderful that we have young people that are stepping up and wanting to run for local and state positions. So Chase, tell my audience, what inspired you to run for this seat?
Well, what inspired me was President Trump. I mean, I remember back in 2015, I was actually on my way to a mission trip in Memphis, and we were trying to pass the time because so obviously it's a long drive to Tennessee, and we saw Donald Trump had a big announcement and he was trending on YouTube. So I'm like, hey, let's watch this. I mean, it's Donald Trump. And he's speaking, and I'm like, wow, he's like, sounds very like presidential, but also he's speaking like a normal human being. And I'm like, is he about to announce that he's running for president? And then he did. And I'm like, I'm on board. Let's make America great again.
Now you're actually running to primary out a sitting councilman.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, why are you primarying him out as opposed to maybe waiting for him to be done with, running for council or running for a different position?
So originally when Mason announced that he was running, I think it was late 2021, he was running on the platform of being the MAGA candidate. And I don't think he's lived up to the, his promises. He campaigned a lot on cutting taxes and, fiscal responsibility. And unfortunately, he just hasn't done that. He hasn't cut a single tax, and he definitely has not been responsible, fiscally responsible. I mean, you look, it's the first time, I think, in 5 to 10 years that property taxes actually went up in Frederick County. And I mean, that's just a reflection that he hasn't done a good job.
Well, as you told me earlier, the council is 5-2 Democrat. How is you being in there going to kind of change that to make the council a little bit more Republican? I'm not going to go as far as saying they're going to turn MAGA all of a sudden, but how are you going to be able to work with your Democrat councilmen to get stuff done?
So I think both of us would agree that the biggest problem with politics now is there's really no middle ground. You're either extreme right or extreme left. So you're going to have to, make some consensus on both sides. That's not, I'm not going to compromise my view on something, but I think you can find a middle ground even in Frederick County.
Now, you were telling me earlier that, President Trump, he won the presidency without winning Frederick County. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So that's interesting. And I can tell you, so I was at the polls on the day with actually our other hosts, Seth Eisenberg from the Conservative Corner. We were in Frederick County all day. And there was actually a lot more people that were voting for President Trump in Frederick County as opposed to Neil Parrott and Larry Hogan. And
Yeah,
it was
that's
Democrats
correct.
and independents. And of course, we now have two conservatives on the school board. We have Cole Black and Jamie Brennan, and I was working with them. And nobody really knew their positions or their party. But it's just very interesting how you have two conservatives now in Frederick County on the school board. And then you have a lot of Democrats and independents that actually did vote for President Trump in your county during the general, as opposed to Larry Hogan and Neil Parrott. I find that very interesting. What say you about that?
Yeah, so we actually have three conservatives. We have Nancy Allen as well.
Oh, that's right, Nancy Allen. Mhm.
And see and see if we could tap into the people that voted for, the school board, what helped them a lot was COVID and with the online schools. And then once the, parents got to see what was being taught, the curriculum and FCPS, Frederick County Public Schools, they realized how, extreme left and a lot of the Marxism ideology that's been creeping in. And I actually spoke on this last week at the Frederick County School Board. Talked about one of the policies. It was policy 443, and it has a lot to do with transgender students and trying to protect women in sports and basically everything that a lot of what was going on in Virginia that allowed Youngkin to get elected is happening here in Frederick County.
So, what do you think about your mayor who is going against President Trump's executive orders? He supports DEI, he supports the illegal immigration, he supports illegals in your district, in your county, I should say. What say you about that?
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be able to understand people that literally take the side of criminals and MS-13 gang members. I can tell you this, like Frederick City, the mayor that Mayor O'Connor, the residents of Frederick City have a great relationship with Frederick City Police, and they are definitely not for, MS-13 gang members, raping and killing innocent people. So they're definitely not in support of that. So he's just in a different, reality.
Now, explain to me the difference in your district. So you have our good friend Chuck Jenkins, who's the sheriff. He's actually, I think he's running for sheriff again. But then you
Right.
have this guy, this, like you said, the Frederick City mayor, who's like a total lib. So why is there such a divide? And then you have, Bill Folden, he's a state senator there. I mean, why is there such a divide within your district and within the county and the city?
So for County Council District 5, we only have a small portion of Frederick City, but it's not actually the city limits. It's like the outskirts.
Mhm.
So Frederick City, unfortunately, we have a lot of people that have moved into the Frederick City and into District 5 as well, because people come from Montgomery County, they come from Washington, D.C., because yes, the housing prices here have skyrocketed, but they're still, cheaper than Montgomery County or DC or PG County. So that's been a lot of the problems. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I want to run, because obviously I'm a resident of Frederick County, and I think people around here should be able to afford housing. And, we have so much development. So you would think, supply and demand, the prices would go down. However, everything just continues to go up. So we need relief for the residents of Frederick County, and that's something I want to definitely tackle if I'm fortunate enough to, win the primary next June.
Now, do you agree that some of your constituents are very upset with a lot of these bills that Governor Westmore has passed, including a big Section 8 housing bill, that he implemented. He even decided to put Section 8 housing in Fort Howard, Maryland, which is a historic landmark. What say you about that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all you have to do is go on Governor Moore's social media account, and I mean, I don't see any positive comments. If there are, it's usually it's 75% negative, 25% positive. I mean, I don't see how he got as many votes as he did. I think you touched on that on the first segment, though. Like, we don't allow voter ID here, and I mean, I helped Dan Cox in his governor campaign against Westmore, and I mean, you talk about huge turnout. I mean, it basically looked like a general election with the enthusiasm that we had. It just unfortunately did not, translate in the polls.
Well, as you know, people are really upset with the House GOP. They want the House GOP to codify President Trump's executive orders. And one of his executive orders is to require photo ID across the board, because we saw the majority of the liberal states, they all voted for Kamala, your state included. A lot of people feel that if your state implemented photo ID, possibly, President Trump either would have won or he would have gotten more of a percentage than he did. Now, the interesting thing is each time that President Trump has won, he has increased in Maryland, but he hasn't fully won Maryland. And everyone says to me, Maryland is not as blue as people think. It's really PG County, Montgomery County, Howard County, unfortunately, it's your county, that are kind of deciding who's going to be the president, or not the president, but if it's going to be won by a Democrat, if it's going to be run by a Republican. So it's very, very interesting. So as a councilman, how are you going to work also, with Andy Harris on the federal level? I know you're going to be running on the state and local level, but there's ways that you can also work with the federal level too, to try to help your constituents as well.
Correct. Well, obviously, yes. I mean, I have higher aspirations than just being, a councilman. I mean, obviously, I want to, get to the national level at some point, but obviously, this is, a stepping stone. So yes, I think you can have influence. I mean, obviously, I can call my representatives like Andy Harris and just convey what my residents feel, and then compare that to somebody like you know Andy Harris is on the Eastern Shore. But yeah, I think Maryland. I can't see how Maryland's any more blue than what Virginia is. I mean, we've seen, like I said, I brought up earlier with the comparisons to the curriculum that's being taught here. It's very similar to Virginia and how Youngkin was able to win. So again, if we could just see these people that support our conservative voices on the school board, if they could, I think sometimes people just think too much on emotions and they look at President Trump's personality. But if they really just broke down and looked what he's actually trying to do to get past, all of the noise around him, they would realize like he just wants to make the country great again, as he says.
I agree with you on that. I think they think more emotion and not logic. And I think that really hinders their decision making, in my opinion. Everyone was like, oh, his personality. But people forget President Trump was a Democrat. He was a Democrat for a long time. He worked with Chuck Schumer. He worked with Hillary Clinton. I think Hillary Clinton even went to his wedding with Melania. And then all of a sudden he switches parties, becomes a Republican, runs for president. And now it's like, oh my God, crap is hitting the fan, because he's actually going to do something. He actually did do something when he was the president in 2017. He's doing more now than he did in his first term. And people need to get on board. And my question to you is, you have lawmakers, you have Anthony Brown, you have Governor Westmore, you have Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott that continuously combat President Trump. You have your Senator Chris Van Hollen that is combating President Trump. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's insane. Again, I don't understand how can you morally and like logically take the side of MS-13 gang members? Like every time you turn around, Maryland is making national news. It's like, oh, but they never say MS-13 gang member. They say Maryland man or Maryland father. It's like, no, it's an MS-13 gang member. They're like the lowest scum on earth, and we continue to take their sides. It's like, it's insane. Like it drives me absolutely like crazy.
Yeah, we actually reported on in the first segment this guy who called himself a Maryland man. He's an MS-13 gang member. He pled guilty over the killing and dismemberment of a 15-year-old Frederick High School student in Baltimore. I mean, that's happening. I mean, it's not Frederick County, but it's happening still in your state, in your backyard. There's a lot of these illegals from El Salvador that are all over your state. And I love the fact that ICE and DHS are now going in and removing a lot of these illegals. But this has to do with the Democrat leadership. This has to do with Governor Westmore. This has to do with Anthony Brown. They both know that all these illegals have been in their state. And I'm going to actually blame former Governor Larry Hogan because he's thinking about running for governor again as an independent, I heard this time. You know, he allowed a lot of these illegals in his state, especially in Montgomery County. He allowed a lot of illegal Afghan and illegal Syrian refugees. So what say you about all these like rhinos and Democrats that want to stay in power? What is your message to the constituents to tell them stop voting for these rhinos and Democrats? Vote for a MAGA guy like yourself. Vote for, you know, hardcore conservatives or people that support President Trump's agenda.
Yeah, again, like I said, they need to take your emotions out of it and just think on the facts and compare and contrast to what the rhinos are doing, which is basically just a Democrat. I mean, people were able to do it in the general election. I mean, they saw gas prices were super low under President Trump's first term. Then they went super high. I mean, in summer of 2022, the average price of gas was like $5 a gallon. I mean, it got up to like 5.50 here in Frederick County, which is just literally insane. And they were able to be like, well, yeah, gee, like President Trump, we don't like his personality, but we had a lot more money in our pockets. And, they were complaining about the egg prices. I work at a grocery store. Egg prices are coming down. I mean, everything's coming down. And then people complain that it's not fast enough. It's been 4 months. Like the pace that they're on it's the fastest I've ever seen the federal government work. And again, it's just like, let's just think logically. Because what works on the national stage works locally as well.
Let me ask you, what do you think about what Elon Musk did at Doge? You know, one of the biggest things that President Trump says we need to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse. But in your state of Maryland, you have people that are combating Doge. They have these like rallies protesting against Doge. What say you about that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous because obviously my state's blue. We always vote for Democrats. You can literally find clips from President Obama talking about cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. So either they forgot about it or they just supported it because it was a Democratic president. And again, it wasn't the orange man, as they like to call him. Like, again, I think a lot of it just has to come down to they cannot stand the fact that President Trump says what he actually says what he's going to do. And that's the biggest reason why they didn't want him. They tried everything. They literally tried to kill him because they knew he was going to do exactly what he's doing now. And I mean, the American people are behind him. And I know people in my district are too. So I feel very confident, and the support that I've gotten just in, 2.5 months have been phenomenal. I mean, my page has grown, insane. Like I have over 2,000 followers now.
That's amazing. I want to switch over to your agenda. Tell my audience, and of course your constituents, because we do have a lot of people in Maryland that watch our show, tell us your platform. Tell us the main things that you want to do as a councilman.
Okay, so if I want to obviously restore, fiscal responsibility. Like I was mentioning earlier, the property taxes went up, and I think, Councilman Carter, I did not want to run. Like I said, I supported, I helped him in his campaign when he ran the first time. But like I said, unfortunately, he didn't keep up his side of the bill. So I want to obviously get the housing crisis down, because you can't afford houses now. Like the average cost of house now in Frederick County is like $350,000. And again, like it might be good for people that are coming in from Montgomery County, but we need to get that down. Another thing is we need to protect our farmers. People say that we want to protect the farmers, but then on the same second hand, they say they want to use solar panels. Well, you can't have both. You can't support the farmers, but then, line our farmlands with solar panels. It's nonsensical. Frederick County has the most farmlands out of any county in Maryland, and I want to protect that. And also, like, law enforcement, like this, we keep talking about MS-13. I'm sick and tired of candidates, saying they're going to support law enforcement, and then so they get their endorsement, they get elected, and then they're nowhere to be found when the police need their help. Like, just 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a shooting in Frederick City involving Frederick County Sheriff's deputy. The council, the entire council was completely silent on it. Like, I made a post about it. I said, this is horrible. Like, we need to support them. Like, and like, I don't understand. Like, that is when the police needs them. That's a perfect example. And it was crickets.
I agree with you on that because, as you know, especially in your state, they were going with the defund the police concept. And, myself and TimFazenbaker, we are brand ambassadors for an organization created by our friend Melissa Roby, We Back Blue. We did an event in Frederick City for We Back Blue. And we saw a huge group of anti-police people at our rally, at the We Back Blue rally. And they were not civil, they were not civil at all. And they were, saying some really heinous things about Chuck Jenkins, our sheriff that we love. And it's insane. And I don't even think that group has been dismantled. I really don't. And again, that has to do with the leadership. We can't have these, pro-Hamas people, these anti-police people that are streaming the narrative. And unfortunately, the mainstream media, they push that propaganda, they push that narrative. And it's really not fair. And it hurts people like yourself. It hurts, real conservatives. It hurts our message. So I'm glad that you brought up that we need to lower the crime. And I'm glad that you brought up, all these things and concerns that you have. And as you know, a lot of people were complaining about, the eggs, they're so high. And you just said that you work in a grocery, grocery stores very well. Tell us how is the cost of food doing right now?
I mean, like I said, I think like, obviously the egg prices have come down, milk has come down. I mean, it hasn't been, it's gradually going down. So we're on the right track. But obviously we've gotten, the price of gas to go down. Now I'm a little confused to why we're like, I think before Trump placed the tariffs, before he did Liberation Day, we got down to like 264. And then obviously people panicked because everybody loves to panic, even because they don't understand how tariffs work. We went back up to like 330. And then once, he negotiated, but we've been stuck at like 309, and I'm not sure why, because like I just saw the other day, a crude oil is the lowest it's been in 4 years. So I don't know if there's something else that's preventing it. I know we have a gas tax here in Maryland, so I need to address that because like price should be going down. We shouldn't just be stagnant.
Well, I think also President Trump is working on making us energy independent again and opening up those Keystone pipelines. He talked about Alaska recently. And as we know, we have this moron Senator Lisa Murkowski that continues to combat President Trump on every turn. And President Trump, he was the one that came up with the concept with Sarah Palin, drill, baby, drill. So when we drill, that's going to lower the cost of gas. It's going to make us energy independent. So I know that President Trump and his administration are working on that. Let me ask your opinion, and I know this on the federal level, but this affects us. It affects everybody. The big beautiful bill that is, it was passed in the House of Representatives, so it goes to the Senate. Are you happy with some of the things in the bill? Would you change some things that are in the bill? What say you about that bill?
I mean, overall, I think it's a good bill. Like President Trump stated, like obviously there's going to be things that aren't completely perfect because you have, it's really hard to pass a bill, especially in the Senate, when you have no support from the Democrats, because it's not that they probably agree with over the majority of the stuff that's in the bill. However, they're just full of hatred, and they care about their personal interests instead of the country. And I mean, you brought up the judges that blocked President Trump's ICE deportation efforts. It's just like, why are you doing this? And I wonder, and I would like to hear your opinion on this. Like, do you think President Trump is doing this on purpose because he wants the American people to see how corrupt these judges and how they truly just hate our country?
I mean, yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. I mean, he had corrupt judges that tried to put him in jail for BS. He had a corrupt attorney general, Alvin Bragg, that wrote one conviction for him 34 times and had him convicted 34 times to call him a convicted felon. And a lot of these corrupt judges and attorney generals, they knew that they weren't going to get President Trump to jail. And they, as you said, they tried to do everything they could to stop the man. They tried to kill him a couple times. I mean, we even had the former FBI director write 8647 in seashells on a beach. And he claims, oh, I just saw these beautiful seashells and I thought this was a beautiful picture. And my wife said we should take a picture of it. I mean, he clearly knew as the FBI director what that meant. I mean, that's a threat. So I think President Trump is holding these people accountable, holding them to the fire. I ultimately believe that Barack Hussein Obama is the ultimate target. I believe that he has caused a lot of the corruption that's going on. And we'll talk about the auto pen later in the segment. But I believe that Barack Obama, even though he, quote, left the White House, he never really left. And we know that we were installed this Manchurian candidate, Joe Biden, with Kamala Harris. Those two were not really running the country. I mean, Joe Biden clearly had signs of dementia. I mean, the guy had prostate cancer, stage 5 prostate cancer. It didn't just happen overnight. He had it for years. His family covered it up. The mainstream media covered it up. So President Trump, he's back in there to show the American people, to call out the corruption. That's why President Trump keeps continuing to say this election was stolen. The 2020 election was stolen. It was stolen. And the auto pen, he keeps bringing up the auto pen because he wants these people held accountable. And that's why he wants to reopen Alcatraz, in my opinion, to put a lot of these criminals in jail. He even said that to President Bukele from El Salvador when he visited the Oval Office. He said, can we is there like a prison like what you have in El Salvador where we can put like these criminals in? And I think that's one of the reasons why he wants to reopen Alcatraz. Ultimately, we have to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse, the corruption out of this country. We have to get rid of the squad out of our country. They are detriments to our country. The AOCs, the Rashida Tlaibs, Ilhan Omars of this country, they hate America. A lot of these socialist Democrats, including Bernie Sanders and Adam Schiff, they hate America. They're globalist, socialist, communist, elitists. We need to get George Soros and his family the hell out of our country too, because they are detriments to our nation. We have to combat these people. And of course, the argument is, oh, these people are billionaires. They have too much money. We can't combat them. Yes, we can. There's more of us than them. And we need to rise up and stand up, and we all need to be armed, because if not, God forbid, the pendulum switches back to socialist ideology. We have to be prepared. And of course, the goal is to never, ever, like President Trump said, we will never be a socialist nation. That's the ultimate goal. Your comment.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, this is the thing. And another person from Maryland, Dan Bongino, it's like he's a solid guy, but and I agree with what he talks about, but it's like we want to see action. Like, we're tired of words. We've been hearing about what could be happening. Like, you brought up Alcatraz. I know they're talking about expanding Guantanamo Bay. That's fantastic. But again, we want to start seeing people be, prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And we have the right people now. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel. I'm not completely sold on Pam Bondi. She seems to be kind of wishy-washy. But I mean, it's like it's now or never. We have to view this. We have 2 years to we're guaranteed 2 years, because we don't know how the midterms are going to go, because again, election integrity is still a problem in this country. So
and we have to get our
can't
House
waste
GOP
time.
on board. Yeah, we have to get the House GOP on board, because if they're not on board, then that anti-Semitic moron Hakeem Jeffries will be the Speaker of the House, and that would be a huge detriment to our nation.
Right. I mean, and we were so close to honestly having Hakeem Jeffries take over when the Republicans, because they couldn't get anything accomplished. All they did was infight. And that's the same problem here in Frederick County. We have so many different Republican clubs. We all need to just join around the Frederick County Conservative Club with Seth Eisenberg and Fred Profiter. And we need to back them, because they're actually true conservatives. They actually want to see the best for Frederick County. And then you have these other clubs that just want to infight, and we're like, they argue about, let's make Maryland red. Well, how can we make Maryland red? We can't even protect Frederick County. Like, Frederick County now, I'll just say it's a purple county, but you can go ahead and say it's blue. I mean, it hasn't gone red since 2016. In each election cycle, it gets more blue.
Yeah, I would say it's purple heading to blue.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we still have some Republican areas, where Chuck Jenkins is and William Folden is. But yeah, it's been switched. It's been, creeping, left. And it's really bad. It's really, really, really bad. And even Howard County has been going left these last 4 years. I mean, I've never seen Howard County so blue in my life. I mean, I used to hang out at the Columbia Mall. I can't anymore because of the crime. Calvin Ball is a horrible county executive. He hasn't done anything to combat the crime. And then, you have, idiots like, certain congressmen in Maryland that are like Glenn Ivey. I can't remember if he's District 5 or District 6. I think he's maybe District 5. I can't remember. But he's, going over to El Salvador to do a wellness check on this illegal MS-13 migrant. And it looks so bad. It looks so bad for your state. And I know that the majority of Marylanders do not agree with this. Remember, 87% of this country, they agree with President Trump on his illegal immigration policies. So why are these lawmakers who are not listening to their constituents, they're going against their constituency, but they keep get elected every single time? And that's why we need fresh young blood like yourself, like others. We need fresh young blood in there. We need TimFazenbaker in there in higher office to just get stuff done, to really get stuff done, because Maryland does not have to drown. And the last question to you is about the Francis Scott Key Memorial Bridge. I know you don't live in that county, but that was a huge bridge that collapsed. And Governor Westmore is taking his sweet ass time to repair the bridge. He says it may not be rebuilt till 2028. He finally put up a picture of what it's going to be. Why the hell is it taking so long? And what can we do to try to force Governor Westmore to start rebuilding that bridge?
Well, we need to call his office. I mean, I remember that. Yeah, if we can get a hold of him. But I mean, I remember that morning. That was last like April or May? Like it was early spring.
Well, it's a year ago. It's been a year ago.
Yeah, it's been 1 year. And I remember waking up that morning and I thought it was fake. I'm like, that can't be the Francis Scott Key Mall, like that, or bridge. Like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And
every day.
yeah, but he always just, delays. It's kind of like we had major flooding in southern Allegheny County,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay, like if you're like, obviously he has aspirations to be president, like what are you waiting on? Like if you ask me, I think it's because it's a county that voted red, so he didn't want to help the Trump support, like the Trump fraction of Maryland. And I remember I just kept hammering his social media. I kept tagging him and sharing the groups. It's like, come on, Wes, you like pull the trigger, call for a state of emergency. And thankfully he finally did. So yeah, if you put pressure on him, I think there's a lot of ways to, I don't want to say manipulate because that sounds bad, but if you put enough pressure on him, because he's a people pleaser and he never wants to be the bad guy. So if you get the right people around him, influencing what he thinks, I think like you can negotiate with him.
Well, I'm glad that you said he doesn't want to be the bad guy, because, there was a bill pushed to the floor of having reparations. And he was hemming and hawing whether he was going to vote for the bill or not. He decided to veto the bill. But of course, it goes to the General Assembly. The General Assembly is, of course, thinking about, vetoing him. What do you think about that? The fact that that bill was even put into place, the fact that the General Assembly would even veto that and push reparations. Did people in your district and in your county, did they support reparations?
I would say it's probably a mixed bag now. Obviously with the shift in Frederick County, since it's shifting more to the left. But no, I don't believe the overwhelming consensus, at least especially in northern Frederick County, does not agree with reparations.
I was going to say, would your county, would your council ever put up a bill like that?
Oh, I'm sure they would. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they would do that, especially with the 5-2, Democrat majority.
But that's, we talked about that last night. That's such a concept that's not even popular. We have so many successful, people of color that are doing very well in this country. And, you don't have Jewish people saying, well, we need reparations for, what happened to us in the Holocaust. Like, we don't have that, it's because we live through terror and we're succeeding and we're thriving. And it's, when you come to America, you want to live the American dream.
Well, that's Barack Obama's, greatest stain on our country. We were so excited to elect the first Black U.S. president, and then when he got elected his second term, he showed his true colors. That's when, Fergus, like Antifa, BLM, all of those, hate or I call them, they're like terrorist organizations that all started under him, and the whole race dividing people along the lines of color and race, that all started under Barack Obama.
Well, Chase, we just have like 30 seconds left. Tell us how we can find you, how we can donate to your campaign.
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook, Chase Borns, and then I'm also on Instagram and X, but I have both of those links on my Facebook profile.
Now, are you officially declared candidate or not yet?
I'm not. The only thing I'm waiting on is a treasurer, but that's going to be very, very soon. Yeah.
I hope you find one. And I applaud you for being 25 years old and for doing this. I encourage more young people to run. You are our inspiration because you are the next generation. I hope that more 20-something-year-olds, they step up and they do what you're doing. And I applaud you because it is courageous.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, my biggest motivation is my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and without him, I wouldn't be able to, stand up and talk to people like this. So that's where I get all my courage and motivation.
Well, that's beautiful. And also tell us, are there any events that you're going to be speaking at? Are you doing any fundraisers? Any way we can see you the viewers can see you at events?
Yeah, I'll be setting out my list of events very soon. So I'll keep everybody posted.
Well, thank you so much, Chase, for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we will be right back after the break.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Levine. I'm a professional opera singer, actress, TV, and radio personality. Since 2015, I've been a volunteer, a field director, and a campaign manager, learning the ins and outs of the political world. That's why I became a political consultant. My job is to lead you to victory with organization, structure, and the mindset of winning for your district or state. With my guidance and direction, I can keep you focused on the things that matter to the people and advise you on key issues that need to be addressed. If you're a serious candidate that is serious about winning, then book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did. Well, hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to Alexandra Levine Live with the America's Pulse Network. You are all in tonight with Alexandra Levine. We just had candidate half hour. And as you know, I own my own political consulting firm, levineconsulting.co. As levineconsulting.co, I have so many people that message me. They're like, Alexandra, I'm running for office. I need your help. They schedule an appointment with me. And we go through the steps if they're right for this position, if they're not right for that position, and so forth. So please, guys, if you're a serious candidate that's serious about winning, book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did. Now, starting the top of this segment 3 at the top of the hour, as you know, we've been talking a lot about the auto pen throughout tonight and also last night and on my show Tuesday night. And President Trump is adamant about getting to the bottom of the auto pen. We found it was an auto pen that wrote out the pardons. We call it the fake illegitimate pardons hours before President Trump was inaugurated and got into the Oval Office. And we'll put up, it was actually my Facebook post. We'll put that up right now, first slide. So I wrote, busted. Elizabeth, quote, Pocahontas Warren has been named as the person controlling the auto pen. That was said, according to this man named David Sachs. He said it on Fox News. If this is true, what should Elizabeth Warren's punishment be? Now, Elizabeth Warren is the crazy ass senator from the state of Massachusetts. I call it Taxachusetts. My question, I pose it to my viewers. Do you really think that Elizabeth Warren was a part of the auto pen? I think, in my opinion, it would be way too obvious or way too, I'm trying to think of the words, revealing for her to be a part of the auto pen. You know, you want somebody that's a part of the auto pen that nobody would suspect. And I would say probably nobody in Congress. I don't even think President Trump buys it. I think President Trump, and he even said it, he said it could be president or presidents. I full-heartedly believe that it's Barack Obama that was a part of the auto pen, and Susan Rice and people that worked in the Obama administration. I really do. But Project Veritas, they came out with a video. We talked about this last night on the Pulse. The DNC actually revealed that it was Joe Biden's chief of staff Anthony Bernal that was in charge of the auto pen, that he controlled the White House. A lot of people said, Dr. Joe Biden, she was like at the head table at some of these big decision-making meetings. Instead of Joe Biden being there, she was there in his place. A lot of people say that Joe Biden was calling the shots. And my friend, the White House press secretary, Caroline Levitt, who I love, she called Dr. Joe Biden out today in the White House press briefing room. She said, Dr. Joe Biden, if she knew that her husband had dementia or had problems, which we all think she did, she should apologize to the American people. She should apologize to lying to the American people, because what she did was awful. She did a disservice to our nation. She was the first lady. I mean, I never consider her the first lady. She was the quote first lady. Like I said before, I will never consider Joe Biden the president of the United States. I will never consider Kamala Harris the vice president. Again, they were selected, not elected. They are Manchurian candidates. But, Caroline Levitt, she said, Dr. Joe Biden should apologize to our nation. I really feel that Dr. Joe Biden, her chief of staff, her staff was really behind this as well. But I ultimately think, and this is my opinion, but I ultimately think, and President Trump, I think, feels this way as well. I don't speak for him, but based on what he has truthed, that he feels that Barack Hussein Obama had a lot to do with the auto pen, had a lot to do with these false pardons. I mean, Joe Biden pardoned his entire family before he left office. Why would he pardon someone that, quote, didn't commit a crime? I mean, we all know they committed crimes, but they didn't go to jail. And we'll find out the crimes that they've committed. I know that President Trump is looking into the Biden crime family. I know he's looking into Barack Hussein Obama. I know he's looking into Peter Strzok. All these people that went against President Trump, that spied on President Trump's campaign in 2015. That's why Elena Barbara said last night, I don't think this is just going to go away. President Trump is on a mission. He's on a mission to get these mofos that tried to hurt him, that tried to kill him. There's a lot of speculation that the government was behind President Trump's attempted assassinations. We saw that in the JFK files. We saw that a lot in the RFK files, excuse me. MLK files as well. We're seeing that corrupt governments are doing everything they can to hurt their political opponent because they're afraid. They're afraid that their political opponents are actually going to do for the people. I mean, we're seeing Glenn Ivey, we're seeing Chris Van Hollen, how these elected officials do not support their constituents. They don't listen to their constituents. They don't care. Remember, they work for us. We don't work for them. But they're forgetting that, or they don't care. Nancy Pelosi, she doesn't care. She doesn't care that she hurt innocent lives on January 6th. She doesn't care that she had innocent people in jail for 4+ years. She doesn't care. The fact that she's still in power is asinine to me. The fact that Adam Schiff is the senator of California when he's a permanent resident in Maryland. And I know they're looking into arresting that bastard because he heard Devin Nunes. He heard Kash Patel. He was the one that pushed the Russian hoax. We all know it was a hoax. Remember impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. This moron from Michigan wants to push another impeachment article against President Trump, which will never make to the floor. It's disgusting. It's disgusting what these people have done. And they've hurt us, we the people. That's why we need to stop voting for these a-holes. We need to stop voting for these corrupt individuals that do not have our best interests at heart. Remove them from office. Put them in jail. If they came to this country legally, revoke their legal citizenship like Ilhan Omar, because she loves Somalia so much, and get the hell out of here. This Sharu guy who came from India, who's trying to impeach President Trump from Michigan, send his ass back to India. He doesn't care about we the people. He doesn't listen. They don't listen. They don't care. They don't care at all. But more and more about the auto pen keeps coming out. More and more about the corruption. And actually, we have an article, the second slide, about Ed Martin. There we go. Ed Martin, who's the one of the pardon attorneys. He floats names of gatekeepers and Biden auto pen controversy. Trump accuses exploiters of treason. They are treasonous. And again, that goes back to the Project Veritas video, how they're saying this guy, Jill Biden's chief of staff, Anthony Bernal, they said he was like the Wizard of Oz. He was behind the curtain. You couldn't even talk to him. People were afraid to talk to him. He seemed dangerous. They were afraid to question him. They said he controlled a lot of the shots. Again, this is treasonous stuff. We can't just poo-poo this. We can't just say this never happened. And U.S. Attorney, the new interim U.S. Attorney in D.C., my friend Judge Janine, she will get to a bottom of a lot of the corruption happening in D.C. Just like she said she's going to get to the bottom of why these 2 innocent Jewish lives were murdered behind the Capitol Jewish Museum. She's not going to put up with it too. I blame Mayor Bowser for this. Mayor Bowser was instrumental in causing havoc on January 6th, 2021. It's insane. These elected officials, these corrupt elected officials, need to be held accountable. We, the people, should not stand for this type of corruption. Again, Elena Barber brought it up last night on the Pulse. All of these names now that Ed Martin is putting together, all these people that have committed treason against us, and Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff. I love Stephen Miller. Hashtag that's my Jew. Attorney. He runs the American Policy Law Firm. America First Policy Law Firm, excuse me. He's going to get to the bottom of this too. Because all these people broke the law. They broke the law. And they need to be held accountable for it. They really do. They really, really do. And this is the image of Ed Martin right here. There he is. That's the attorney. That's a pardon attorney. Speaking of pardons, big story that happened. So there was a couple called the Grizzlies, and they were sentenced to jail in 2022 for tax evasion and bank fraud. And Ed Martin and Alice Johnson. Alice Johnson was also pardoned by President Trump. Actually, it was Kim Kardashian that went in there and pushed for criminal justice reform. And President Trump looked at her case and said, you know what, Alice Johnson, she served her time. The crime is not as heinous as most, and we need to pardon her. And he did. So that's what President Trump did objectively. He looked at the Grizzlies case and he said, you know what? This was a corrupt justice system that is throwing them into jail and having them, basically their sentence was like 20 to 30 years in jail. It was a very high sentence. And their daughter had been just working hard to making sure that well, first of all, she was proving that her family was framed, that her parents were framed. But also she was behind President Trump all the way. She said, President Trump, my parents, they ended up in jail because they're supporters of you. They're from Savannah, Georgia. And she said, I know that my parents have been wrongfully accused or wrongfully sentenced, so to speak. She says, I don't think their sentence should be this harsh. And she said, it's because of the corrupt justice system, why my parents are in jail. And President Trump, with Ed Martin and Alice Johnson, they looked at the case objectively. They couldn't find any evidence leading to Mrs. Christie. The wife. I'm sorry, Mrs. Grizzly, the wife. There wasn't substantial evidence to conclude that she committed as much as they said that she did. And then they looked into the husband. The husband was a little bit more difficult because there was a lot of things that were not adding up. There was a lot of things that were missing in his case. So it was a little bit harder to, just say he's off scot-free. But they appealed it and appealed it and appealed and appealed. They were going through multiple appeals. And of course, it was costing the family a lot of money. The family, of course, lost a lot of money with their family being in jail. And the daughter had to be the mom and the dad to their other children. They have younger children. And again, President Trump looked objectively at the case with Ed Martin and Alice Johnson, and they said they are being screwed by the corrupt justice system. They should not be in there that long. They did their time. There isn't enough substantial evidence to really say that they need to be in jail for 20 or 30 years, and President Trump pardoned them. He called the daughter right then and there, and he said, I'm pardoning your parents. Go pick them up. And that's exactly what happened. They were pardoned. And that shows you the difference between this political activist judge or a politically corrupt attorney general like Alvin Bragg, who writes one conviction 34 times and tries to set President Trump as an example, wants to say, well, we finally got the convicted felon. Same thing with Judge Merchan, who wasn't even a qualified judge for the case. And it's funny, these guys originally didn't want to try the case because they knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, but money talks, BS walks, and they joined the case. It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's happened to a lot of people. I know a lot of people that have been unlawfully tried, people that, got sentences for 20 or 30 years. But then you have murders, criminals that get off scot-free. Like that guy, Carmelo Anthony. He murdered another classmate in cold blood, took a knife and just stabbed him. Now they're going to say it was self-defense. But the bail was supposed to be $1 million. The judge lowered the bail from $1 million to $250,000. He was able to go home, be on house arrest. And then what did his family do? They ended up getting a huge mansion, brand new Cadillac for the kid, security on taxpayer dollars from a GoFundMe. Now they claim that the GoFundMe money didn't come through when they bought the new car and the new house and all that, but come on, where did they get that money from? American people are not stupid. And Carmelo Anthony got to graduate. Oh, he got to graduate. A murderer, he got to graduate. The boy Austin, who he murdered, never got to see his graduation. Will never get married, never have kids. His twin brother witnessed the murder, held his brother in his arms and watched him die. I'll never be the same after that. No one's ever the same after that. It's crazy. It's really crazy. And then you have people that kill innocent Jews, innocent Christians. They go into jail for a day or two. They get a slap on the wrist. They get out. You have pro-Hamas people that are stabbing innocent Jews in the eye, calling for the genocide of Jews, taking the end of a flagpole and just stabbing him in the eye. They go to jail for maybe a few hours, get slaps on the wrist, and they get released. Those are the real criminals. Those are the people that need to be in jail for years. Those are the people that deserve the death penalty. And I know that Judge Janina is looking at the Elias Rodriguez case where he killed 2 innocent people behind the Capitol Jewish Museum. She's going for the death penalty. That's what needs to happen. She's not going to let him get it off scot-free. No way. Luigi Maggione, they're looking into the death penalty with him. He killed in cold blood in the morning the CEO of United Healthcare, one of the biggest health insurance companies in the nation. I have United Healthcare, and I call their office, and they're in such disarray, they don't even call you back. They don't even call you back because they don't have a CEO. They have no leadership. Whoever the interim CEO is sucks. But we have too many illegal criminals that are living in this country that are killing innocent lives. Those people need to be held accountable. The fact that they were in jail and then released and then in jail and then released, crazy. And we see their records. It's all out in the open for the public to see. Some people were child molesters. Some people were rapists, sex traffickers, human traffickers. Kilmar Garcia was a human trafficker. He got pulled over in Tennessee, smuggling illegals. But Biden's FBI let him go free. Let's not forget that. It's disgusting. It is completely disgusting how there's no equal justice under the law, how these attorneys and these judges break the law all the time. But now we have a new sheriff in town. And the new sheriff in town is not going to allow this to happen. He's going to hold these people to the fire. That's why he wants to get to the bottom of the auto pen. He wants to get to the bottom of the auto pen, and he wants to arrest people that committed treason against our country, because that is treason. When you are not the president, but you act like the president, you sign off on things, and you sign off on executive orders, and you sign off on this and sign off on that. We know that Joe Biden wasn't mentally fit. Even the special counsel said he's not fit enough to even sit trial. That's how mentally off he was. And Joe Biden, she knew he was. She shouldn't even had him run for office. We see the corruption. We see the corruption of the Biden crime family. It's insane. It's disgusting. It's sick. And Hunter Biden with his cocaine everywhere. And the pedophile that he is, he should not be walking scot-free. Now, I can attest to what Chase is saying, that some people are very concerned that, Pam Bondi and others are not working fast enough. But remember, they just got in there. They just got in there, and there's a lot on Pam Bondi's lap, and there's a lot on Kash Patel's lap. It's not like they've been there for a year and haven't done anything. They're doing the job every day. But I agree with Chase. The president does have the right people in there to get the job done. We see the strides that Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio are making every single day. And Pam Bondi is doing a good job. Whether you don't feel like she is, I know her very well. She was my former Florida Attorney General. The crime was very low in Florida. The illegal immigration issues were low in Florida under her. We didn't have a Kate Steinle in Florida. We didn't have a Jocelyn or a Lincoln Riley in Florida. She kept the drug crisis low. We didn't even have a drug crisis in Florida under her leadership. She worked well with Governor DeSantis and governors before him. And she kept the criminals off the streets. And she's extremely pro-Israel and extremely pro-Jewish and pro-Christian as well. And I know that those murders that happened last week, I know they shook her to her core. She does not stand for that crap. So again, I tell my audience, I tell my viewers to just hold off a little bit before you start attacking the leadership. They have a lot on their plate. They're trying to get to everything. But it's up to we, the people, to get them to notice. TimFazenbaker saw a bunch of illegals in his Home Depot in Dundalk. He did something about it. He took action. Myself, I take action every single day. I see the anti-Semitism happening in college campuses. I see the illegals at Home Depot, Walmart, Walgreens. I take the action. It is up to we, the people, to take the action. To continuously call the killers out, the murderers out, to call certain leadership out for the asinine things that they're doing, to report them, and to show the complete transparency of what you see. Videos, take as many videos as you can, take pictures, send it over. I'm telling you, this administration, they really look at it and they take it to heart and they do something about it. I know Thomas Homan. He is tough on crime. He's a tough cookie. He's good friends with Chuck Jenkins. They did a congressional hearing together. He knows the border like no other. He knows there's a lot of illegals that have come into this country, and his job is to get rid of as many criminals as he can, but he is only one man and he can't do it alone. It is up to we, the people, to help him. It is up to we, the people, to help Kristi Noem. It's up to we, the people, to help Marco Rubio, and we, the people, to help Pam Bondi. They do read your messages. Caroline Levitt reads our messages too. She goes straight to the president with them. Last night we talked about transgenders in the military. That was a huge thing today with the big political influencers. Caroline Levitt talked about it today. I know she watches our program. The whole White House press team watches our program. They have to. I'm a White House correspondent. They have to. Everything we talk about gets sent to the White House. Everything we talk about gets sent to higher levels of leadership. So I'm asking all of you, if you have a concern, if you see things that aren't right, if you see illegals in your neighborhood, if you see crime, call it out, take a video, report it. It will be seen. Because if we don't do our due diligence, then the enemies win. Coming back after the break, we have another great, interesting segment. And we're going to be talking about June 14th, Flag Day, 4th of July, how President Trump is honoring our nation. And we'll be right back after the break.
This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with Alexandra Levine Live on the America's Pulse Network. You are all in with Alexandra Levine. We are still waiting for someone from the White House to come out and tell us what transpired between President Trump and Vladimir Putin on that call today. We are here live at the White House. We're waiting for White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to come out and tell us about the updates of today, the call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, what transpired in that call.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
And hello, everyone. It's me again, Alexandra Levine, live with the America's Pulse Network. And yes, I am the White House correspondent for this network. It is an honor and privilege to be in that White House briefing room with Caroline Leavitt and President Trump on the White House lawn. So this next segment, I have a little bit of a beef with Southwest Airlines. Now, I normally fly Southwest Airlines because they have a nonstop flight directly from BWI to my hometown of Sarasota, Florida. I love taking that flight. It's the cheapest flight that I can find. As you notice, flights are getting really, really expensive. And I'm the type of person, I like a nonstop flight. I don't like to stop in multiple different airports, especially on big holidays, because your luggage gets messed up, or you may miss your connecting flight and then you're stuck in an airport all night and there's nobody there to help you and it's a pain in the butt. Well, one of the things that Southwest Airlines prided themselves on is having the first 2 bags free. You don't have to pay for your bags. And also that they do not have assigned seating. They have an A list, a B list, a C list, and it's great. You can sit wherever you want. Now, you can pay for an upgrade. Like if you get a C ticket and you want an A ticket, you can pay for an upgrade to be the first person on the flight. I do that all the time. Or they have something called A list preferred. But because of, I guess, the inflation, because of the economy under Joe Biden, Southwest, now they're becoming more of a socialist airline. That's what a lot of my friends say. And they started charging for bags as of yesterday. So the first bag now is $35. The second bag is now $45. Let's put up the first slide. There it is. Southwest Airlines will begin charging passengers $35 for their first checked bag and $45 for their second checked bag starting on Wednesday. That was actually yesterday. The airline had previously offered customers free carry-on and checked bags. The bag fee charge will also apply to existing flight itineraries changed on or after May 28th, Southwest confirmed. Southwest, which announced the change in March, said the checked bag fee will put the airline in line with, quote, industry standards, and hopes the move will boost business. Does this really going to boost business? Most people were using Southwest Airlines because they don't charge for the bags. Delta Airlines, they charge $35 for their first bag. Spirit Airlines would also charge $35 for the first bag and then $45 for the second bag. That's why we go to Southwest Airlines, you morons. We go there because you didn't charge us for the bags. We go there because we can sit wherever we want. Now we find out in 2026, next year, they're going to have assigned seating. So what the hell? I mean, I might as well just go fly Delta Airlines, or I might as well just go fly American Airlines or United. I mean, this is crazy. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to be just like Spirit Airlines. They're going to charge very low rates for the flights, but then they screw you with the bags. Now, I did hear if you are A-list preferred, I think you get one free bag, or if you have a Southwest credit card, you get your first bag for free. But not a lot of people want to get an airline credit card, especially for people that don't fly all the time. I do fly a lot, but I don't have a Southwest credit card. I don't want a Southwest credit card. I don't want an airline credit card. I want my free bag. So now I have to fight to be A-list preferred in order for me to get a free bag. It's crazy. And then they said, you may have a chance to get 2 free bags if yourself and your spouse is A-list preferred, or yourself and your spouse both have a credit card. Well, a lot of families can't do that. A lot of families, they like to have either 1 credit card in the household or 2 credit cards, and that's it. A lot of people don't want an airliner as a credit card. And they say, oh, you get to accumulate all the points and blah, 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 blah. I don't even think the point system does anything, because I have like thousands and thousands of rapid reward points. It never got me anywhere. And again, I've always had to pay to upgrade to be that A-lister or that A-list preferred. But how is this helping the industry? It's like they have to go along to get along. Oh, because Delta Airlines charges bags, we have to. Because United Airlines charges bags, we have to. This is going to cause people not to want to fly. More people are actually going to drive. I mean, I drive a lot. I drive to Pennsylvania. I drive to West Virginia. I drive to Virginia. I've actually driven from Maryland to South Carolina. I've driven straight from Maryland down to Florida. Maybe that's what I'm going to have to do. I mean, I loved flying Southwest Airlines because of that nonstop flight, and I didn't have to pay for bags. So my question is to my viewers, what do you think about this? Are you going to continue flying Southwest Airlines? Are you going to drive now to your destination? Are you just going to hop on United Airlines or hop on another flight? It's disgusting. Or now I may not be able to fly as often to Florida as I need to be, or as I need to, excuse me. And I will have to do that drive. And that drive is a lot, especially by myself. God forbid I have a flat tire. You know, if you're a single young woman driving by yourself, you know, it's very scary. It can be very scary. And I'm one of those girls, I don't know how to change a tire. So I'm really screwed. So I rely on Southwest Airlines to get me to Sarasota, Florida, to get me to certain destinations that required nonstop flights. Now I'm going to have to think about deciding to do United Airlines or American Airlines, and they all suck. I know so many people that have had canceled flights or delayed flights on these other airlines. I used to fly Delta all the time. I used to fly actually Delta Song because I went to school in Boston, and Delta Song had nonstop flights from Tampa to Boston and Sarasota to Boston. So I'm pissed. But I know a lot of people are pissed too. Why does Southwest have to be like everybody else? Why are they turning into a socialist airline? I remember I was so excited when Southwest Airlines finally came to Sarasota International Airport. It was always in Fort Myers, or it was in Fort Lauderdale or Tampa. My poor father had to schlep up to Tampa and pick me up. And Southwest hasn't been in Sarasota that long. I'm so mad. I am so mad. And I hope people are mad and pissed with me too. Because this is not fair and not right to loyal Southwest customers. Again, these are assholes that don't listen to their customers. Just like congressmen that don't listen to their constituents. See the parallels here? Unbelievable. Now, there are some friends of mine that are considering to boycott Southwest Airlines. You have the God-given right to do that. But I really wish that Southwest Airlines would listen to their customers. And Southwest Airlines customers, they don't want assigned seating. They want to be able to sit where they want. I have a specific seat when I go on Southwest Airlines. I actually sit near an emergency exit row, but it's that row where you have like 6 feet of leg room. So I'm not on top of the person in front of me. I have the beautiful leg room. I love that seat. That's my favorite seat. I'm right next to a window. It's a window seat. I don't have to worry about somebody coughing and hacking next to me. And if I'm sick, I'm just coughing right in that window. And man, if I, God forbid, have to evacuate a flight, I got the heels to do it. You know, the flight attendants, they look at me, they're like, are you sure you can handle an emergency exit seat, emergency exit row? I said, ma'am, plane's going down. I ain't waiting. I'm kicking that door and I'm getting the hell out of this airplane. Don't mess with me. But now everybody's going to have to shove everything into a carry-on, which is going to have to be checked in anyway, and then they're going to have to pay the $35. Or instead of people like myself that do a lot of travel that stay in Florida for weeks on end, I'm going to have to compartmentalize everything into like a duffel bag or like one suitcase. I mean, this is insane. It's insane what what Southwest Airlines is doing to their customers. I'm very upset about this. I'm very upset. And maybe their stock will plummet. Maybe they'll lose a lot of customers because they did this. Because again, why do we need to go to Southwest Airlines if they're just going to be like every other airline? So again, I want my viewers' opinion on that. What do they think about Southwest Airlines changing their stature from now charging for bags, and in 2026 they're going to start assigned seating? It's disgusting and it's asinine. And then our next big news, and I told you that President Trump is planning a big shindig for his 79th birthday, which is on Flag Day, June 14th. America's Pulse Network, we will be covering that event. They're going to have a huge parade at the end of the evening, starting in around 6. Let's put up the slide for that so you guys can all get the information. There it is, at Real Donald Trump. I am proud to announce that we will be hosting a magnificent parade to honor the United States Army's 250th birthday on Saturday, June 14th in Washington, D.C. For 2.5 centuries, our brave soldiers have fought, bled, and died to keep us free. And now we will honor them with a wonderful parade, one that is worthy of their service and sacrifice. Americans across the nation are invited to attend. RSVP at america250.org. Everybody, go to america250.org. You can RSVP. Again, it's going to be a huge party and parade. Again, I feel bad for people that don't live in DC that now have to figure out if they're going to fly to DC. Are they going to use Southwest Airlines, or if they're going to drive to DC? So I hope that everybody comes from across the country to this beautiful parade, to this wonderful day. Again, President Trump is all about honoring this country. He is making America great again. He is keeping America great. He wants to honor our nation. And let me tell you something, our enemies and our European leaders, they see this. They see that President Trump is a no-nonsense kind of guy. They knew that in 2017. They respected him in 2017. They respect him more even now. He went to the Middle East. There was so much respect and love for the man over there. He's going to be traveling to other countries too. You're going to see the respect that he gets. And it's such a beautiful thing to have a president who loves our country, who wants to honor our country. So please, everybody, if you can, come to his huge celebration, come to his parade, and wear your American flag dress. I can tell you, I'm going to be wearing mine. Let's show that image. And that's me. I have that American flag dress. I wore that last year. I wore that a couple of years ago. And I change my hair color all the time. I either go curly, I go straight, I go wavy. Sometimes I wear hair extensions. But that was taken a while back, and I wear hair extensions sometimes, and my hair is straight or darker. But I will be wearing that dress. I will be holding my American flag up high, and I will be covering the event. So I encourage everybody to wear a dress like that. If you're a man, wear an American flag jacket. Just to let you know that my family does own a custom franchise suit business called Pro Pierce Bespoke. And we can make custom-made suits for you. So if you guys are interested in a custom-made American flag dress, or a custom-made, actually we do more suits than dresses, a custom-made American suit for men and for women, please reach out to me and we'll get that going for you. But again, we want to continue honoring our troops, honoring America. Again, I hope you all can get here. You got to figure out if you're going to use Southwest Airlines or not, or whatever airline, but if you can drive. But please come to this. Please come to this event. And of course, July 4th is going to be a huge shindig. We're honoring our nation again. That's what President Trump wants to do. All of these events now are honoring America. President Trump is the president for America. Joe Biden was not. Joe Biden wasn't even a president. Obama hated America. Obama still hates America. Obama is trying to do everything he can to make America a socialist nation, which will never happen. President Trump said it'll never happen, but I believe that we, the people, are strong enough to not make that happen. As I said, everybody should be armed. Everybody should be putting Americans first and not illegals first. Flag Day, July 4th, Independence Day, that is honoring Americans. That is not honoring illegals. That is honoring Americans and America. And don't forget to honor this veteran, this American, our good friend from the conservative corner, Seth Eisenberg. Don't forget, this guy has had more surgeries than Kim Kardashian. His foot is doing better, but it could be doing better. It's healing very slowly, but he's got bills to pay. He has already raised $6,400 on his GoFundMe. We need to raise $25,000 for this man. My ultimate goal is $100,000 for this man. He deserves it. He served our Navy. Please go to Help Jonah Eisenberg Overcome Health Crisis. Please go on that GoFundMe, and we need to get him to that goal. He's a wonderful person. he has been such a great attribute to our network, and we love having him on. And he will be coming on Sundays from 7 to 8 p.m. On Sundays at the Conservative Corner. We missed the Conservative Corner. We are so excited to have him back. And he's also on the Pulse with us on Wednesdays from 8 to 9 p.m. But please, guys, go help Seth Eisenberg, donate to a veteran, help a veteran out. We want to keep his foot intact. We want to keep him safe. We want to make sure his bills are paid. And another great patriot of this nation, Allison Reedy, my personal friend, who is trying to get money for her son, Dylan, who just wants to go to one college in Utah, one college to live the American dream. Please go to his givesendgo.com/constitutional. It's givesendgo/constitutional. College is very expensive, as you know. Doesn't matter where you go. But this young boy, he was wrongfully accused of being a domestic terrorist. He was found not guilty, as we all knew he would be. And his mother and father are continuing to fight for him. He just graduated recently. That's the headshot of him wearing his cap and gown. He just graduated. I'm so happy that he graduated. Now he wants to go off to college. He wants to go to this college in Utah. He's not going to go to college at all, his mother's sad. So please go to givesendgo.com/constitutional. And also don't forget to go on Allison Reedy's Facebook page, My Son on the Altar. I love that page. It talks all about her son, all about her religion. She's a big supporter and a believer of Jesus Christ. If you guys are supporters of Jesus Christ, please go on her Facebook page, My Son on the Altar. It's a very inspirational Facebook page. I love that page. And she talks all about her son, her family. This mother is a fighter. She fights for her son, which is honorable. She fights for her children. She fights for her family. She is just such an angel, and we love her, and we love having her on this program. We will eventually be having her son on this program as well. It'll talk about his story, his life. But please go to his GoFundMe. It's very important that we support him, that we support Seth Eisenberg as well. And again, guys, don't forget to support us. We have a brand new show, The Pulse. We had our 3rd episode last night. The show is growing. People are loving it. It's a panel of 5. We have 3 hosts and 2 guests. And it's just a great chemistry that we have. We have had close to 40,000 views just in one setting because this show is just booming. It is so great. We talk about so many different things. We talk about hot topics. We talk about topics going on in your city and your state. Please watch us every Wednesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. on The Pulse, because the pulse of America is God, country, and America first. And I have a little announcement to make. I will be changing my show from 2 hours to 1 hour starting next week, starting in the month of June. So instead of it being 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be 8 to 9 p.m. The first 20 to 30 minutes is going to be major breaking news, stuff that happens at the White House, etc. We'll have a guest on, and then we'll be talking about other things. We may be talking about dating. We may be talking about makeup. We may be talking about skincare. So it's going to be a variety show, but it's going to be a very interesting intellectual show. And remember, you watch and you listen because you're no idiot. So starting next week, 8 to 9 p.m. on Tuesdays, 8 to 9 p.m. on Thursdays. And also don't forget to follow Damon Galdo with the Jersey Shore. He's also changing his time from 8 to 9 p.m. on Monday nights and 8 to 9 p.m. on Friday nights. And it's a great show. He's from New Jersey, ran for Congress, but it's such an educational show also that he does. And we love his show. We love Damon Galdo. We love the Jersey Shore. And again, Seth Eisenberg with the Conservative Corner will be coming back Sundays from 7 to 8 p.m. He is our sailor man. He is the man of reason. He will tell it like it is. And we love him for that. And I started watching him on Facebook when he was on Facebook, and I was at my gym and I didn't have any headphones, and all like the people around me at the gym, they were like, oh my God, this guy's like right on. Like, F yeah, man. F yeah. Cause Mr. Eisenberg, he does curse. He says viewer discretion is advised. If you have children, put their headphones on or leave them out the door or not leave them out the door, leave them in another room, take them outside. But you know, what he says is so powerful and so right. And he tells it like it is. And he's honest and truthful. And I love that about him. And, you know, he was my inspiration to do this podcast and my inspiration to continue on. And I've been cursing a little bit more because of him. So we have a little bit of Seth Eisenberg in all of us. So please, guys, you know, watch his show. It's coming on this Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m. We're so excited to have him back. And of course, don't forget to follow us at America's Pulse Network on Rumble, at America's Pulse Network. We're now on True Social. At America's Pulse Network, we will be coming out to Facebook soon, at America's Pulse Network on X, and at America's Pulse Network on YouTube. And of course, you can always follow me. I'm extremely transparent. Alexandra Levine on Facebook, at Alexandra Levi 20 on X, at AR Levine 85 on Rumble, at AirLevine85 on True Social and at AirLevine85 on Instagram. Thank you so much. This was a jam-packed almost 2 hours. I'm so glad for all of our viewers and our followers. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And also don't forget to go americaspulsenetwork.com. Please check out our website. If you are a podcaster and you're interested in jumping on our network, we are accepting podcasters left and right. We have a plethora of people that are applying that want to be a part of our network. So please, if you are interested in being a part of our network, please go to americaspulsenetwork.com. If you are interested in sponsoring our network, whether you're interested in sponsoring my show, the Jersey Shore, the Conservative Corner, the Pulse, or the whole entire network, please, we would love to have you on as a sponsor. I've reached out to gotten people that want to sponsor. I've reached out to people that own gyms and workout equipment. They're very interested. There's a lot of people that are very interested in getting involved in our network. Again, I am the White House correspondent. I can tell you that if you do become a sponsor with us, there is a chance that any question you want me to give to Caroline Levitt, your question may be asked and it may be answered. Just a little incentive there. So if you become one of our sponsors, I, as the White House correspondent, will make it my business to make sure that your question gets asked or answered by Caroline Levitt, or maybe even President Trump himself. I will make that promise and that pledge to you. So please, guys, go to americaspulsenetwork.com if you want to sponsor. Please like and subscribe on all of our channels, on Rumble, on YouTube, on Facebook, on True Social, on Instagram and X, whatever I didn't say. All of our channels were on so many different networks. And again, thank you, everybody. And the reason you listen and the reason you watch is you are no idiot.
Mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.